Hello everybody, this is John Oye with Severe Service Specialists, or SSS. Today we're going to discuss installing a new limit switch and solenoid. In many cases our sales guys will come out and do this for you, but there are situations where you guys may need to do this on your own. As always, check with operations if you need to be on a lockout tagout or if you need a permit to do this work. Make sure you're clear with the plant and also make sure you're always wearing your proper safety equipment. When you receive your solenoid, your heat block assembly with 2 O-rings and a bag with a base plate, and then you'll have some extra gaskets in here. So go ahead and pull all your components out. You'll notice that you've got these 2 bolts, the 2 silver bolts. We won't use those. By adding our heat block, we will send you 2 bolts that are a little bit longer to accommodate for the heat block. So we'll discard those 2 bolts. So we want to start off by putting our gaskets onto our base plate. And one side, you can see you have this funny looking gasket. It's got many different characteristics to it. And as you're putting it in, there is little notches basically that's going to hold this into place. Some Vaseline or grease would help hold this in place, but just make sure it's in there secure. And we've got both O-rings in on each side. All right, the next step, we're going to take the solenoid, and this is going to be the front of the solenoid where you have the coil here, okay? And on this plate, there is a number 3-2 and 5-2. We always put these together with the 5-2 down, and it needs to be facing the front of the plate, okay? So when you're looking at your solenoid from the front, you can look on the bottom down here and you will see that 5-2. All right, so we put our plate on with the 5-2 facing the way we need. We've got our O-rings in here, so we take the back side of the heat block. This side with the big O-rings is going up against the actuator. So that'll lay into here like this. And then we'll take our bolts and go in from the front. And then we'll take our second bolt. So when you get your final assembly, you have your heat block, the plate, and then the solenoid, okay? And looking at it from the front, this is what it'll look like. And these 2 bolts will mount it directly to the actuator. Okay, as well, you'll have your DIN plug, your new DIN plug. So if you're not using the same solenoid, you'll have to wire this DIN plug up. Here's your conduit connection, and then this will plug right on top of the solenoid. It's going to come with the screw and this red gasket, and you want to put that gasket on your screw. Then you'll take the screw, put it into the top of the DIN plug. This is your insulator gasket, and if you'll notice, you have one straight, so just match that up. You want to take the straight and line it up on your straight plug here on the DIN connector. All right, once that's on, then you can put your DIN connector in whichever direction you need, your cover, and then your screw will hold it, secure it in place. Okay, now that we've got the solenoid in place, now we can work on installing our new limit switch. When you receive the limit switch, you'll get a bracket. Depending on which size actuator, we will have the right size bracket for you, as long as we know that up front. And so your bracket is going to basically bolt on the bottom of your limit switch. And in your bag, there'll be 4 nuts with lock washers, and you want to use your lock washers. And then you'll just bolt these on in all 4 holes. Okay, so now we have the bracket on, and you're going to receive 8 bolts in the package. 4 of them are rough coarse threads, and 4 of them are fine coarse threads. For the unitorque actuator, we're going to use the fine coarse, so we'll just discard the rough coarse. Just make sure whichever brand actuator that you're using, you check the threads on it and decide if you need the rough or fine coarse threads. Okay, now that we have the bracket on and secure, we're going to mount it onto our actuator. The 4 bolts with our lock washers to secure it in place. And you just get in here and bolt those together. We had mounted the limit switch on top of the actuator, and so now we need to set our limits on the inside. So we just loosened all of our cap screws, and we'll set the top to the side. And on the inside, you've got two switches, switch 1 and switch 2. All right. Typically from S, we're going to use switch 1 as our open and switch 2 as our closed. It doesn't matter which one you use, we can use either. Pretty much all the valves that we're going to be working with is clockwise to close, counterclockwise to open. We're going to bring the valve all the way to the closed position. So we're going to go all the way close. All right, and our shaft would be perpendicular. And then now we would take our switch, and you want to push down and rotate just until you engage the limit. And then make sure it pops back up, okay? So now we've got our closed switch engaged, and we just engage in right when we get to our final few degrees of close. You're going to rotate it to the counterclockwise position until you just engage the switch. And then that would be your open switch. Once we have our switches set, then we just want to reinstall our cover. Get it lined up, make sure our position on our beacon indicator matches what we're doing on our on the valve, and then just tighten up your screws all the way around, and it's ready to go.